me if there was going to be any more of those like for Gengar, and the answer to that is yes. And so, after 1 year later, I finally make the video that should have been done a while ago. My apologies. Hello everyone, it's me, Bouncy55 here again, and happy winter holidays! I hope everyone's winter break is going really well, and this video is quite interesting since it was asked about last year and I'm not just now getting to it. Anyways, we all know that my scheduling and uploading it has been kind of weird ever since the whole hiatus, which thankfully I broke. But anyway, today's video, if you couldn't already guess by the title as well as the intro of the video, we're going to be discussing character changes. Similar to how we discussed character changes in my Total Pokemon reboot with Butterfree, this time we're talking about the big bad himself, and it's none other than the big purple man himself, Gengar. But we're going to delve a little bit deeper into some of the issues he had, and why I'm deciding to make those changes when the reboot happens, which will be after Season 2, obviously. That's when that will happen. I'm twisting my words today. But this is what's gonna happen for this video. So, let's start with the first question. What were the main issues with Gengar as a villain? Oh boy, we're already getting into the nitty-gritty details, huh? So, on the right side of the screen, I'm going to provide a list of what problems I thought Gengar had, as well as people who have watched my Season 1, I've asked them what issues they saw with Gengar, and I kind of made a list. This isn't to say that this is all the problems Gengar has. He might have several, as well as my whole entire Season 1, which I know my Season 1 wasn't perfect, but we all gotta start from somewhere, even if it's from somewhere that's probably not that good. But that's how we learn. So, one of the very first things that I noticed was Gengar's awkward introduction to the game. If you guys remember, in Season 1, Gengar technically made his first debut episode in the Hauntings on Total Pokemon Island, the fake serial killer episode where Chef Raichu dressed up as a serial killer with a hockey mask and, like, you know, the whole Jason Voorhees, like, get-up, you know, from the Total Drama Hook, Line, and Sinker episode. And he ended up showing up randomly at the end when he was going to attack Chatot and everyone rushed in to save her, which a total callback to a Total Drama moment. Then he made another appearance in the Capture the Pokemon episode where the Talos and the Jolteons were sent to capture a Pokemon. The Talos were specifically sent to capture that Gengar from the previous episode. And then he made another appearance along with the Oshawott in the Pokemon Battle Revolution episode, and then he just joined episode 8 just like that. So that was another thing that I noticed was a big issue in my Season 1, was people just being added to the game with just because back then I felt like it, and I know that's probably not a good way to introduce a character. So that was one issue I had with Gengar, which leads up to the next thing, his not-so-subtle facade. So, when he made his debut episode, in, I think, episode 5, he started off as very aggressive and, like, malicious, because, you know, he had an intention to attack Chatot, because she was vulnerable. But then, after he was caught in the Capture the Pokemon challenge, and he was put on the Talos team, he just all of a sudden had this change of like, oh yeah, I've just changed, and like, and it wasn't so subtle either. It's like, I guess I was trying to do that thing where like the audience is supposed to get hints at that, like, oh no, Gengar has not changed, but the Total Pokemon contestants don't know that. I don't think it was even, like, I don't think I made it that subtle, and I needed to work on that. Like, I should have worked on trying to make him be a more a better hidden villain, if I could say that. Next, his obsession with getting back at Chatot then went nowhere. This is what just made things complicated. Like, I totally get that why he would have a vendetta against Chatot was because he just, I don't know, I guess Chatot foiled his plans or whatever they were, and he just had this vendetta against her, but it never really went anywhere, and at one certain point, he decided to blackmail and threaten Pikachu, of all people, which I don't know why I did that. It would have made more sense if it was Chatot, because she was the one who was being threatened by Gengar, but Gengar decided to threaten someone else. So, that was one issue. Now this next one was actually feedback that I was provided by my good friend, Teddy Garmin here on YouTube. I'll put a link in his channel in the description below. So he told me that he thought Gengar won immunity too many times, which I agree with. He just won immunity a lot, like almost back to back. And this is the reason why though, and this is my next issue here. He revealed himself too early and with no build-up, which I don't know why I decided from a storytelling perspective to do that. He literally just decided on one campfire ceremony because Metachim called him out. He decided, okay, yeah, screw it, I'm gonna reveal myself right here and now and put a huge target on my back, which led to him winning immunity too many times, because I thought back in when I was making those episodes in Season 1 that him winning immunity too many times justified the fact that he was basically winning and being scot-free from elimination because he revealed himself, and that's just, again, no. It could have been handled way better, and that's one of the things we're gonna fix. And lastly, which is by far the biggest issue I have with Gengar, his psychopathic tendencies. If you guys don't remember, I'll give you the gist. Gengar wanted to strangle Chatot, and even back then, after the fact he joined, he still wanted to strangle her, and that was why he was blackmailing her. He was blackmailing her, and like basically so that she could get out of the game, just to give Gengar the satisfaction that he beat Chatot in the game, which literally made no sense. And I don't know, it's just his psychopathic tendencies were just a big no-no for me. But yeah, this is the list I've made so far, but if you guys think there are any more issues Gengar has, please let me know if I missed a couple which you think are important in the comments below, and I'll address them to the best of my abilities. But now that we got into the issues that Gengar is facing, let's move on to the next section. How did I end up choosing Gengar to be a contestant? Alright, so gonna keep this section a little bit more short and brief than the last one. So, some of you may or may not know that a majority of the cast was selected through these Pokemon figurines that I personally own, with the exception of Furret, Spinarak, Elekid, and Butterfree. I have and of course Swirlix and Meloetta, the newer additions in Total Pokemon Action Season 2. I have figurines of all of them except the ones I had just mentioned. And so I got inspiration from that, and I knew Gengar was going to be one of those like later additions into the game, which I know some Total Pokemon series do that, where they start off with a set number of contestants, but then they decide to add more, maybe 1 or 2 later on. But we all know I started off with 10 and then decided to add like 8. Yeah, I decided to add 8 more contestants. Anyways, so here's the picture of the Gengar figurine right here as proof. There he is. Look at his little sinister smile. kind of slightly creepy but cute in a way. I don't know. You guys tell me. Anyway, but yeah. And but that's pretty much it. I didn't really base Gengar off of any Total Drama character like I did with Butterfree. She's supposed to be somewhat of a parody inspiration from Courtney. Gengar, maybe that's why I had no idea where to take his character. Absolutely no idea. Because I didn't even base him off anyone, and I tried to come up with, I guess, my own original personality for him. So, that's all for this section, so let's move on to the next one. What changes will Gengar go through? So as this section title implies, the changes that I'm going to make on Gengar correspond to the issues that he has as to what I think will be the best remedy to improve his character overall. So, with him being introduced in such an awkward way, he's going to make his first ever official debut in the same episode as the newbies in episode 6, along with Oshawott, meaning he's going to be a part of the additional 6 Pokemon that basically restart the whole game. So Snivy, Elekid, Furret, Spinarak, Squirtle, etc, etc. So this also means that Gengar won't be making his first official appearance like he did in the original in the Nightmare on Total Pokemon Island episode. It'll be when he appears with those contestants. Oh wait, never mind, I think I may have gotten it wrong. So not episode 6, episode 4. My mistake. So I forget what I said about episode 6. It'll be, I think, yes, episode 4 when the newbies come. So that's going to be my way to resolve that first issue with the awkward introduction. So the challenges also will be changed to accommodate that. Next is handling his character in a better way by making him act more reserved, as a more reserved character with a better hidden facade. So he's gonna come off as those, like, not shy quiet types, he's just like the quiet type. I guess you could say he could be like, he's Noah, but he's sort of hiding as like a Heather, I guess you could say, or even an Alejandro, but without the flirtiness. So he's going to be as like slightly introverted. He prefers to keep to himself, but he still plays an integral part of the team. He's somewhat of a team player. He just prefers not to get too close to people because, again, he doesn't want to blow his cover, so he's hiding. He's putting on a mask to seem like he's a good, normal guy, but deep down, he's going to be a threat in the game. So that's how I'm going to resolve his character facade being not so subtle. Next is he's no longer going to have a deep-rooted hatred for Chatot. Now this one is still debatable of whether or not I'm going to fully go through with this. Either I'm going to cut out completely in the reboot that he has just a deep-rooted hatred for Chatot, or either I keep it in somehow, but I was thinking mostly that since Chatot in the reboot is going to have a different fear than she originally did, her fear is going to be a fear of ghost-type Pokemon. But specifically, she's mostly afraid of Gengars, Haunters, and Ghastlies. So I'm going to still have some connection between the two of them. It's like Chatot just gets super nervous around Gengar, or like he just says something like, hey, excuse me, can you move? And Chatot just speaks gibberish, and like she's forgotten how to speak because she's so scared. But well, that's what I'm planning to do with that, instead of like Gengar just having this weird vendetta that just came out so weirdly and just never went anywhere. Next, to help with the fact that he won so many immunity challenges, he'll win less immunity challenges, and so the victors of the immunity challenges that Gengar won, they're probably going to have different outcomes, so that he doesn't just win immunity challenges. But the times he does win them, it's in his favor because he won't be exposed until after the merge. Which I guess still happens in the original. Yeah, it still happens in the original. But it's gonna be much later on in the merge. Like, people don't suspect him, except Medicham, because, you know, Medicham is probably the most self-aware out of the entire cast. I won't give away much, spoilers, but let's just say Gengar does something to make Lucario look bad in front of the rest of them. And while most of the former Talos don't really know what to think, but it's mostly Medicham who just suspects Gengar because she's the one who knows Lucario the most, so she thinks it's a bit odd that Lucario is being, you know, accused, or people are saying he's doing something bad. So that's what happens. Again, don't want to give the specifics of what actually goes down, but you'll see later on when I get to the reboot. And the next thing is throwing away his psychotic persona for a more mischievous troublemaker one. So instead of just making him like go full on crazy with his aggressive nature and violent tendencies, I decided to basically be more as like basically I guess you could say like a male Heather. Like, he's just there to be like mischievous, but unlike Heather, who legit like is acting fake for the sake of, you know, hiding her true nature, Gengar does something similar, but he does it with a more introvert, like, he keeps to himself and prefers not to be part of the group when he can. But obviously he still tries his best in challenges, so he doesn't end up getting voted off, obviously. But he's definitely going to cause trouble amongst his teammates and the rest of the campers on the show, because he just feels like it, and because he actually just gets a little bit of a kick out of seeing that. So you could say he's also slightly a bit of a sadist. He likes causing mischief and seeing other people in turmoil. So those will be how I will remedy the issues Gengar has with these changes. Hopefully these seem adequate enough to you guys, since personally I felt these are probably the best way to do it, but I won't have a set idea for sure on how I'll do that once I actually start going into production of reworking the episodes and rewriting the story and whatnot, and rewriting a script for that, because I haven't started making scripts until probably this past year. But yeah, so guys, that concludes this section, and yeah, this is pretty much it for Gengar. Like I said with Butterfree, Gengar is probably going to be another character that's going to have the biggest changes in the reboot with him. But before we end the video, I want to show you guys something that I've been working on. I originally wanted to get this drawing complete for my 4th year anniversary, which happened, I believe, October 23rd, 2015. That was my very first upload to YouTube of my Total Pokemon channel, and I've been doing it for 4 years, guys. 4 years! Thank you guys all so much for supporting me for 4 years, considering that half of those years I was on hiatus working on other stuff and school and whatnot, so I wasn't working as much as I used to and when I first started. But thank you so much for having so much patience with me, and for you guys subscribing to my channel. It really means a lot to me. Without further ado, I present to you Merry Christmas 2019 from the Total Pokemon cast themselves. We got Weasel and Raichu in the center, and then all the contestants around them. So yeah, Merry Christmas 2019 to you guys, but also Happy Holidays for those who don't celebrate Christmas and celebrate either Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, or any other holiday in their respective religion/culture. Thank you guys so much. It really means a lot to me. And with all that being said, guys, I believe it's time to close this video out. So, thank you so much for watching, and if it seemed a little bit too rambly for you, my apologies. I tend to ramble a little bit too much, but thankfully, I was able to cut out parts that probably would have made this a lot longer than it needed to be. But anyways, guys, I love you all so much, and I hope you have such wonderful holidays and you spend it all amazingly. So, see you guys, Bouncy Azumarill 55 signing off, and I'll see you in the coming new year.